the Secretary for State for Energy Security and Net Zero, Ed Miliband.
Oh, brilliant, Tracy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much, friends. And let's first of all hear it for Tracy and her brilliant speech. Thank you so much, Tracy. And let me say something about my friend, Keir Starmer, our leader and our Prime Minister. Because friends, believe me, I know what pressure you face in giving the leader's speech at Labour Party conference. Long experience. Yesterday, he gave an absolute barnstormer. Let's raise the roof for Keir Starmer and the brilliant speech he gave. Friends, I know this party, and I love this party. And I love all of you as well. You know, my dad spoke at conference only once as a delegate. The party conference was in Margate. It was 1955, 70 years ago. And recently I looked back at his speech, and in a 2-minute speech, he attacked the National Executive Committee. He complained about the composite he was being asked to support. And he called for the nationalisation of the commanding heights of the economy. It's good some things don't change in the Labour Party. But he said something in that speech that has always had special meaning for me. He said that being part of this party was a great adventure, and we had a vision the Tories would never have. A great adventure. For me, for us, for our party, that's the point of being in politics. To go out, argue for, and make real your vision, our vision of the country, and have it change people's lives for the better. Not just to be different faces managing the government, but governing with totally different ideals and vision. That's what I want to talk to you about today, conference. But first, as you head home and we end this conference, you should take with you the ways we are starting to change Britain. Just take pride in what we've already done in energy. 10,000 new jobs at Sizewell C. Investing in Rolls-Royce small modular reactors. Funding for carbon capture and storage in all corners of Britain. The biggest investment in clean energy in British history. The onshore wind ban lifted. Enough solar to power 2 million homes. Ending the scandal of the mine workers' pension scheme. Solar panels on 200 hospitals and 200 schools to cut their energy bills. Britain leading the world again in the fight against the climate crisis. And yes, the first publicly owned energy company in Britain for 70 years, Great British Energy. But friends, this must only be the start of the change we bring to Britain. Because our country is so far from the vision we all have, and people are impatient for change. And here's the thing, they're not wrong, they're right. Our country needs to be run very differently. Now, we know what reform's approach is. Scapegoat anyone or anything they can pretend is the cause of all our problems. They want to blame diversity. They want to blame net zero. Anything they can to stir up division. Friends, I'll tell you this, they're wrong. They're dead wrong about the causes of our country's problems, about why our living standards have stagnated, about why our public services have declined. You see, here's the thing. It's two dominant right-wing Tory ideas that have devastated Britain over the last few decades. The first idea from the 1980s, trickle-down economics. Remember that? Enrich those at the top, and everyone else would feel the benefits. We all know how that worked out. All it did was bring the deep inequality that still scars us to this day. Friends, it didn't work. It won't work. It can never work. The second idea from the 2010s, austerity. That if government got out of the way and cut again, it would sort out our economic problems. And we all know, you all know from your communities, that was a disaster too. Decimating the services across Britain that working people rely on. So you see, and this has got to be our starting point, that's the real issue. That's the real issue about the condition of Britain. For almost 30 of the last 40 years, we have had governments that have transferred wealth, power, and income away from working class communities. And it's not through an accidental series of mishaps, but a deliberate act to benefit the wealthiest in our society. Friends, we've got our party card here. Remember what it says on our party card. It says we stand for a community in which power, wealth, and opportunity are in the hands of the many and not the few. That's our vision. That's our vision. But that feels like an absolute fantasy, a distant dream for so many millions of people in our country. That's why so many people feel Britain doesn't work for them. That is what we must change. That is the mission of this Labour government. And now what's so important about clean energy, what's so important is it can answer the call. As Tracy said so well, it can answer the call for a different kind of economy run for working people. It offers the biggest opportunity for job creation for decades, and we must seize it. Skilled jobs in proud professions, tens of thousands more jobs for engineers, for welders, for electricians, for construction workers. And behind these statistics, and you know I like statistics, behind these statistics is the potential for each and every one of these jobs to change the lives of working people and their communities. You know, recently, I spoke to an apprentice working at Sizewell C. He was so excited. He was so excited about what he was doing, the prospect of a good job, not having to leave his hometown, doing the right thing, yes, for the future of the planet too. Just think about what that chance will do for him and thousands of others like him. And now think about the potential, job by job, city by city, town by town, your city, from offshore wind in the east of England to carbon capture and storage in the northeast, and yes, here in the northwest too. Hydrogen in Yorkshire to new nuclear in Wales, critical minerals in Cornwall to nuclear fusion in the Midlands, and backing existing industries like ceramics. And in Scotland, oil and gas workers who have powered our country and our world will continue to be a valued part of the energy workforce. And at the same time, we will create new jobs in hydrogen, offshore wind, and carbon capture and storage. And friends, if you want to know the difference the Labour government makes, you know, the Acorn carbon capture and storage project was talked about for years by the SNP and Tories, but never delivered. Now it is being made real by this Labour government. That's the difference the Labour government makes. And friends, let me say this. Think how many more thousands of jobs we could create if we had a Scottish government that embraced and didn't block nuclear power. One of the many reasons we need to kick out the SNP and make Anna Sarwar the First Minister of Scotland. And these jobs, and these new jobs, and Tracy talked about this too, must be a model for the kind of fairer economy we believe in. And look, I want to be very straight with you about this. For far too long, trade unions have been locked out of new energy industries. They came of age when Tory dogma said unions were a dirty word. No more. Not on my watch. Not on my watch, conference. Not on our watch. Not ever. And so let me say this. Our clean industry bonus rewards the offshore wind industry for investing in Britain, and that's the right thing to do. But under a Labour government, public money must serve the public interest. That's why I can announce we will introduce a new Fair Work Charter as a condition of that bonus. And let me spell it out. Fair wages, the very best rights at work, and yes, access to unions. My message is simple. My message is simple. Under this Labour government, fairness at work is not a privilege for some, but must be a right for all. And as I talk about this issue, let me pay tribute to my friend Angela Rayner for her New Deal for working people, and I pledge we will implement that New Deal for working people in full, in spirit and in substance. And our commitment means stamping out exploitation wherever we find it. You know what? You know what I discovered when I walked into this Department for Energy? Current rules mean that if you work offshore in renewables, more than 12 miles out at sea, you are literally in no man's land when it comes to employment protection. You're not even guaranteed the minimum wage. It is a scandal. It is a Tory scandal, and I say we will end it. Our principle, which we will put into law, offshore, onshore, land or sea, you will be guaranteed fair pay and decent rights at work. That is the difference a Labour government makes. And clean energy offers our best chance to escape the high energy bills that have caused the cost of living crisis. Today, bills remain high because wholesale gas prices are still 75% higher than before Russia invaded Ukraine. We're at the mercy of the petrostates and dictators, and the only way out of it is our mission for clean power by 2030. And as we put up the solar panels and wind turbines, build the nuclear power on the grid, in the meantime, we're determined to do everything we can to help working people. So this winter, because of the decisions of this Labour government to extend the Warm Homes discount, almost 3 million more families on the lowest incomes will get £150 off their energy bills. We will not rest until we tackle the scourge of fuel poverty in our country. For years, landlords have got away with renting out substandard, damp accommodation with no rights for renters. No more, not on my watch. And so in our Warm Homes plan, I tell you this today, we will end this scandal. Hundreds of thousands lifted out of fuel poverty, millions of families helped. That's what ending the Tory legacy of cold, damp homes looks like, conference. And this is just the start. And this is just the start. Insulation, solar power, batteries for lower bills to help tackle the cost of living crisis. House by house, street by street, working with our brilliant Labour local authorities and mayors, helping millions up and down the country. A plan that means by switching to clean energy, you will be better off. That's the difference a Labour government makes. And friends, we've only just begun when it comes to the work of Great British Energy. Don't let them tell you public ownership makes no difference. I'll tell you exactly the difference it makes. Building on our success, Great British Energy will go even further in cutting energy bills for frontline services. On top of the 200 schools already announced, I can announce 45 more schools will get rooftop solar this year, transferring money from the pockets of energy companies into frontline services. On top of the 200 already in the works, over 50 more NHS sites. And for the first time, our publicly owned energy company, Great British Energy, will work with the Ministry of Defence, so those who serve in our military get the benefit of lower energy bills too. Great British Energy, owned by the British people, supported by the British people. Yes, friends, delivering for the British people. And this is all in the service of our vision, bringing wealth and power back to working people and their families. That's the mission of this Labour government. But friends, and Keir spelt it out yesterday, we face a fight like never before, not in my 30 years in this movement. Reform would wreck everything we're doing. They've said they would wage war on clean energy, a culture war they're importing from the United States, driven by the rich and powerful interests who fund them. And let's spell out what their war means. It's a war on the workers at the Siemens wind turbine factory in Hull. It's a war on the construction workers building carbon capture and storage in Teesside. It's a war on the workers at the new cable factory in Scotland. It's a war on the working people of Britain. That's what Reform's war means. And theirs is an all-out war on future generations too. I'm incredibly proud of British climate leadership. I'm incredibly proud of Labour climate leadership. And I say Reform's war on the future would betray every young person in our country and every young person and every person yet to be born. And here's the thing. Don't let Reform tell you Britain can't make a difference in the world. Friends, we will never accept Reform's shriveled, unpatriotic and diminished view of our country. Ours has always been a vision of Britain standing tall in the world, fighting for the national interest and true to our traditions of internationalism. And let me just say, I am so proud to be part of a government that has officially recognized a Palestinian state, as this party has long demanded. And friends, we've got to call out Farage and his cronies for who they really are. They're the investment-crushing, job-destroying, bill-raising, poverty-driving, science-denying, Putin-appeasing, young people betraying bunch of ideological extremists. That is who they are. And we know where they want to go next. And they won't know where they want to go next, because they've told us. Fracking. Fracking. In your communities. Fracking will not take a penny off bills. It will not create long-term sustainable jobs. It will trash our climate commitments. And it is dangerous and deeply harmful to our natural environment. Friends, the good news is that communities have fought back and won this fight before and will do so again. Remember Liz Truss? Who could forget Liz Truss? Remember Liz Truss and her 42 days of disaster? The Tories tried to overturn the fracking ban, led by Jacob Rees-Mogg. Remember him? Yeah, who could forget him either? Friends, got a message for you. We sent those frackers packing, I say let's ban fracking and vow to send this bunch of frackers packing too. But the threat from reform goes way beyond their climate-denying agenda. You see, the truth is, I wish Nigel Farage was just the snake oil Tory city boy we've known about for years. He's actually morphed into something even more dangerous. He's now a key part of a global network that wants to destroy the ties that bind our communities and our way of life. And I can sum up the threat for you in 2 words. Elon Musk. Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets. He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain. Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country. Friends, let me end by saying this. What I've learned over 30 years in politics, through good times and bad, thick and thin, is that what sustains you is something very simple. Your values, what you believe in, what you stand for, and who you fight for. That's what the point of politics is. In fact, I think that's the only point of being in politics. And at this moment of peril for the world and danger for our country, we know what our values mean. We have to fundamentally change who our country works for, not tinkering around the edges or fiddling at the margins, but fighting always, always for the vision that it says on our party card: power, wealth, and opportunity in the hands of the many, not the few. And this time, in our generation, we haven't come this far. We didn't work this hard for 14 years through the dark days of opposition to hand our country over to reform. This is the battle of our time. Our people and our communities against the political con men who want to sell our country out to the vested interests. Our people and our communities against narcissistic billionaires who sow disinformation and stoke violence. Our people and our communities against those who would rob them of their rights, sow further inequality, and take away our freedoms. Friends, our fate lies in our hands. We have the power to change Britain for the better. Let's use that power, guided always, always by what we believe and who we're in politics to fight for. And friends, I say this: with the courage of our convictions, we can, we must, and we will win the day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure they've enjoyed